Always,
Let
always.
me ask you this about the tone of the drums on the opening track on Balance. What's the first track? The seventh seal was the first song. You know, it comes with the monks and
Right.
then the big, huge tom thing, right? On
No,
Balance.
I mean, but what's the big single off of
Don't tell me
Balance?
you love me, or don't tell me what love can do, and then you had can't stop loving you and all that.
Yeah, yeah. No, okay. So no, that record, the drums sound killer on that.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe they're not as big as the fuck record, but because I think that was like him go maybe the biggest like room sound.
yeah, yeah.
But no, it's killer. He was like kind of he was a little more organic, definitely more organic than the 5150 OU 812 era stuff.
Right.
He was coming back around, and but then wasn't the record after that? Is it the Sharon record?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty raw on that, but he's still I love it. I think he sounds awesome on that record,
Right.
as he does on the final different kind of truth. Like
Right.
he went through the more process like from 1984, 5150, OU812, but I love it. I love what he sounded like. The mix of the Simmons with his snare, it's still with the pasties, it's still was so Alex. And
Mhm.
then then he got bigger, more organic sounding drums, but like, bigger, what people says more like a Bonham thing. And then he tightened it up, but it was still more acoustic based, like without that Simmons stuff he was using for years. And I think he's just been fine tuning that organic sound the past few records, man, because like I really love how he sounds on the different kind of truth record. I think that's like every aspect of his drums fully realized as an acoustic set. It's perfect to me, like absolutely perfect. I love it. It's like if you're gonna say give me like one of the most badass sounding drum sets ever, like top to bottom, like I'm talking cymbals, snare, kick drums, toms. It's oh my god, it's just such, and it sounds like Alex. It just sounds like he's kind of this. I've just perfected my shit, man.
That's crazy, man.
Love it.
Well, I don't want to keep you
Some
all day,
amazing
man.
drumming on that record.
Yeah, I don't want to keep you
What's
all day,
that?
man. I can keep you for 24 hours, brother.
I know, and like I could like we could have just picked a guitar player on one song and done an hour. Like we could have just been like, let's just like talk about because okay, so I know you're no good pretty well now. Somehow, I think I shut my heat off. It's been getting colder outside because usually my hands are not cold in my house, but
Really?
this it's like every time I go to yeah, it's like I've been doing this, but I think I shut the heat off. And it's been colder. Like it's kind of a darker, cloudy day outside, and it was like weeks ago it was really cold, and now it hasn't been that cold the past few days, but I think it's getting colder now. So
When you
maybe
go
that's what I'm feeling. But
when you go back out?
nothing like really serious. No, nothing for a long stretch until like this summer probably.
Okay. Well, I'm
Yeah.
coming
So
out. I'm coming out next month. Actually, I'm coming out for. I'm going to do a number of videos. I'm meeting with a guy named Tracy G. If you remember, you might remember him. He was in Dio.
yeah, I remember the name. Yeah,
Tracy
from Dio. Yeah.
Tracy grew up with Eddie and spent some time over, I think, at his house over in Los Lunas in Pasadena. And he's got
Oh
some
wow.
good old stories about the old days in Pasadena. And I
Oh,
got
that's
a
cool.
video I'm gonna do on this
You
amp.
guys gonna are you gonna go? Are you gonna go to Pasadena like
Oh
to
yeah,
go
I'm
to
gonna.
this final
I'll be
spot?
staying. I'm staying there. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
staying.
cool.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Because didn't they name a park after him now? Is there a
Yeah,
park there? Or they're trying to?
yeah, yeah. They did. They got that park, that Van Halen Park stage anyway, and then they put that plaque up at the Civic since I've been out there. The mural at
Yeah.
Guitar Center. There's a whole bunch of things that I want to kind of blog for the channel and put out there that obviously I
When
did.
he,
Go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna say when did he pass? Because it was 2020, but it was like Neil was in
October
January and
October 6th.
October.
October 6th.
So oh okay. You know what? Wow. That's that's my brother's birthday. My brother's a great musician, guitar player, singer, all this everything. But that's right. It was I was like, whoa. I October 6th, but it was during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And they made it, wasn't it soon after that, during still within the pandemic time, they somebody did that big ass painting of Eddie in Hollywood or on Guitar Center.
on Guitar Center in the back.
right? Wasn't
Yeah, yeah.
wasn't that like soon after, like kind of like immediately?
It was during it. Yeah, during
It
the
was pretty.
pandemic.
That's killer. I haven't seen it like up close. I haven't been there and seen it, but
I'm definitely
looked
going to
pretty
go
awesome.
check it out. I come in on a Thursday, so I always try to like do my Hollywood stuff on the day I come in through through LAX, and then I'd either stay out at El Royale, which is in Studio City, which is close to where the Sportsman's Lodge used to be,
Oh yeah, okay,
in that
yeah,
area. Or this particular time I'm going out towards Pasadena. I have some family out in the San Bernardino area, so as well. So
cool,
yes,
cool.
so I'll be back in town. I hadn't been since the whole pandemic. The last time I was there was NAM right before the pandemic. I think it was 19.
Yeah, that really screwed things up, man. That whole it started. I was playing with the pandemic things. In 19 ends, you're going into 20. Okay, here we go. Um, I went and did a cruise with Monsters of Rock cruise with George with Lynch Mob,
Yeah,
and it was like the end of February, I think. Got back and we had good stuff like shows opening for Dawkins, and then he plays with Dawn, a couple songs, all. And
yeah,
we did some of that. We did a few weekends of that. It was good. Everything was cool, and they were booking more, and it was like cool. And then the pandemic hit, and just man, it screws up your sense of time because Neil passed pre-pandemic, but in 20, and then 20 was pandemic, which just changed everything. And then Eddie passed, and like I said, October, and I knew it was later in the year, but it's just like we're in this pandemic fog, and it was like it just no, nothing was normal. Now nothing's normal, and now Eddie's gone. Oh, you know what I mean? And you can't, and you can't even have any get-togethers at that point. You're in the thick of this pandemic crap, so it's not like there's going to be like. It's just people are all separate. People are you removed from each other. You know what I mean? And so that probably also made it more difficult because to even consider um, any type of
celebration.
like a tribute show or something.
Sure.
Not a Van Halen tribute,
Eddie
Eddie,
tribute.
yeah,
Yes,
it's
sir.
Eddie tribute show. But like that went into 21. So it's like 21. It was like some bands are going out, things are kind of like happening, but not really. But if you go out too soon, it might not be good business. Like it was still like a whole question mark for most of 21.
Yeah,
It was still affecting bands this summer. When we
sure,
were out,
sure.
somebody's getting COVID, tours canceled, going home. Still a whole mess of that. We had it in our camp. We had to cancel a couple things. So,
Yeah,
dude,
man.
Whitesnake, last 2 weeks off the road. There was another band that the same thing had to happen. But so you look at that. Now we're on 2 years plus, and which is Eddie. That's probably his passing is just like he's he's. I have a group chat with a couple friends. One and Sherinian's one of them, and there's probably 3 or 4 times a year where Derek just circles around and just tells me why Eddie is the most badass guitar player ever. And he's just defending him. And I'm agreeing with him. I go, dude, I love Zeppelin's my favorite band and Page is my favorite musician. But yes, I agree with I love Eddie. Like I love Eddie for all the same stuff you do. But if you're good, like want to AB this stuff with me, like if I'm gonna have to defend Zeppelin against Van Halen, then I got to start going. Well, Van Halen, Zeppelin did this, whatever. But it's funny. And so he's probably been on all our minds more because he's not here. So it's just. But then, like I said, with the pandemic, then a year goes by and you're like, life wasn't normal. You didn't things weren't considered like they could have been if there wasn't a pandemic, right?
Sure,
Everybody's
sure.
worried about working. Everybody's worried about freaking gas going up to $18 a gallon. Like everybody's jobs affected, work affected, just normal hangs, normal business as usual, all affected, and that takes away from. You're already a little bit in this more negative place. Just life in general is not. It's you're coming out of the Roaring '20s into the Great Depression. The '30s. It's like come on, what a change. It's not as extreme as that. And it's not like I was here for that. But I'm just saying, everything's rolling. You think you got your plan, and then the world shuts down, and government says this is what it's got to be, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, wow, I just lost all that lynch mob stuff we were doing that year is done. I had this band in the Japan called Bees, were the biggest rock band in Japan. I had like a 2 or 3 months with them. Bam, gone, gone, gone. You know, like, and the next year, 21 as well. So, but yeah, but it's just Eddie's definitely been on my mind more. And then somehow, um, I just got this guitar like a month ago. And I wanted the Floyd Rose Locky Nut. I don't want to mess around with how Eddie was doing on Van Halen
Right,
with
back in the day.
I just give me the Floyd Rose. I don't need the more authentic one for way more money. Just give me this thing is
Right,
killer.
right,
And it was like I have a Dean with a Floyd, and I was working on some. I just wanted to feel this feeling because I know this was made based off of what how he his neck felt and the
Mhm.
frets and the size strings and just how the guitar feels sitting on you, and it's addictive. It's just like you start playing this, man. It's just and little by little, just learning Eddie's solo here or there. I have a list, man. Like I said, man, I've had a list on Fires next, top to bottom, and I'm gonna do Hot for Teacher and Eruption. I'm close to the Eruption, dude. I put some time in. Like, you want to analyze? I'm watching all these guys on YouTube. I'm watching them, learning some stuff. I'm learning, definitely. I've picked up some stuff.
Right.
Then there's some stuff there's little things, stupid little picking things I have, little techniques that I was like, well, that's like like that, some of those Eddie lists, like the fast one on the one, or the like, I'm seeing patterns in and out of different solos and stuff. I'm like, oh, I have little patterns like that too. That's that, dude. I can go on forever. I've learned so much stuff, and I know I'm going to be better because of it. You know what? Maybe if there ain't going to be no
Tribute.
tribute show, like, if that's not happening, even though would love to see that, but as we talked about it before this interview, we can maybe wind it up on this. I was like, you were like, oh, you did the Bomb Bash and Randy Rhoads Remembered. I'm like, yeah, but this needs to be done by. It's like Eddie's just too big, and he needs to be done just like Neil Peart by like the families. The families have to be behind it and like putting their stamp on it and saying yes. Like what happened with Taylor. It was done all through the Foo Fighters. That's the way it should have been. And those were amazing shows.
Well, like your Randy Rhoads Remembered shows, you had his brother involved and his sister.
Yeah. Which was great. It started with going to them, and also with me and Rudy Sarzo playing with Jeff Tate that summer.
Mm-hmm.
So we were friends already, but like after playing that summer, I was like, "Hey, Rudy, if I did this, would you want to be? We'll be the rhythm section." Like, I haven't asked anybody yet, and he's like, "Yeah." I go, "Okay, if I know I have the rhythm section, you know what I mean. If I go to the family and they're cool with it, well then, it's me and Rudy. We can get a bunch of guitarists." But this is just also Randy's had tributes like Rudy had done prior in 1993. There's. But Eddie just passed. It's just so new. And this is like a massive pop songwriter as well as a metal guitar player, as well as an inventor and a groundbreaker on everything. Been around for so long. And his son's here, and his brother's here, and his band's still here, and you know what I mean? And his ex-wife, his son's mom, like everybody. This is so I wouldn't go down that road because just because it's like it's right here, and they're the ones that should do it. Just like Dave Grohl did the Taylor tribute.
Sure.
That's. But what?
I was gonna tell you one thing about a kind of a side effect of your Randy Rhoads thing that we don't think about is that you managed to pull off something that kind of shocked me in the show, and I can't remember what year it was, but you had. I believe you were playing the drums, but you had Rudy Sarzo and Brad Gillis together for the first time, right?
Oh yeah, man, that was the first one. That was because
you were the Speak of the Devil lineup.
Oh yeah, but I was the geek going. I loved when they made Randy's solo bit an actual piece of music with Brad. And I can't remember. They were getting into Randy trivia here. I can't remember if they actually did it with Randy. It started out as Randy's solo, like Spotlight solo. Then they made it as a band, and then they did it with Brad. Or they, I can't remember. But I just know that Don Airey was like putting a lot of like harmonizing and working a lot with Randy for the live show. And I was just like, Brad and Rudy together, dude. I love those Randy bootlegs. I love Speak of the Devil. I love it's tribute, but I was already like had my own. I had the King Biscuit Flower Hour bootlegs, man. I listened to. It's the first time I heard Tommy Aldridge take a solo. Those double bass drums. I was just like, oh my god, I've never heard like anything like that in my life. Randy Spotlight solo was like, I had a Eddie Van Halen bootleg of them. It was somewhere in Pasadena. It was one of the great ones where they're having trouble with running with the devil horn. The car horn keeps coming in and out and breaking up.
Yeah.
It's like that, whatever that one is. I used to listen to that all the time. That was amazing. So I got to hear like an alternate Eddie solo. So you get to hear an alternate Randy solo. But anyways, yeah, that was cool. It was that I Have Suicide Solution jam stuff, man. The all that with it was.
Who else has been on here that you had at that was Joel Hoekstra. Joel Hoekstra's been on before.
Hoekstra, yeah, because I knew Joel a little bit, and Brad says, "You have?" I go, "Yeah, we got like one song left." And he goes, "Man, put Joel because Joel was in Night Ranger at the time." Yep. And I go, I knew Joel like just from knew each other, but we weren't. I go, "Hey, Brad said you come in an AM available. We have Little Dolls left and." It's the last song. He's like, "Hey, I'll do it," and he came and killed it. And that was we did that, and then like the next year, I left Whitesnake, and Coverdale called me and was like, "Hey, you're doing these Randy Rhoads stuff. What do you know about Joel Hoekstra?" And I go, "Well, I knew him. I go, just met him, but he's kick ass, man. He's a good guy. He's a killer player, man." But and that was it. Like soon after, like David had contacted him. To join up with Whitesnake. So that was like, I don't know, 6 years ago.
I met him that night. I met him at that show. I believe maybe it wasn't that show. Maybe it was a George Lynch guitar ball. I can't remember. But one night, him and Brad sat down with my wife. I was in the bathroom and I came back and I'm like, they're sitting with my wife, like, you guys can stay. But they're really cool. I mean, it was funny and cool to catch back up with him.
Dude, we got to give it up for Brad freaking up. I don't know the notes. Wait. Oh, oh, wait. God, I got all this delay. Oh, this is really loud, too. What is it? Wait, I'm going to guess the... So, wait, this thing. I don't know if he does it on the front or the back.
Yeah.
Is the frog thing, or is it here? Is it like, Then he goes... Whatever it is, but dude, that was a great thing, man, back then when he's like, I don't know if he hits it or he just flicks it.
Well, he used he used the non-locking he's still using the non-locking.
That's crazy. Whatever that's been, Tell Me You Love Me, him and Watson together on that.
Oh, yeah.
That's some killer guitar from both of them, man. Because Watson comes out at the end. Watson's like, "All right, Brad, you got your stuff going. I've got this alternate picking." Man,
those two guys, wow. They were insane. I saw them open for Kiss on that first tour. Kiss was Creatures of the Night tour, 83.
All right.
And they opened up for them. Way back.
That was they're both great, But I thought Brad was great with taking the place of Randy, because Randy was he was on fire, man. He was just big. Everybody's talking about Randy, and he was kicking ass and killing it. Those two records were amazing, and Brad had to come in and fill in, and then also do all the Sabbath for Speak of the Devil. But it was so fresh. What was it? What year was that? That was they recorded that in '82, right? Soon after Randy passed, that summer or spring.
Yeah.
But that was, as much as I love the Sabbath, like grew up on the Sabbath stuff, and you listen back, it's just like iconic, legendary stuff. But to hear fresh ways of playing it with all this new stuff, like Aldridge with his double kicks and his style, Gillis playing the more modern '80s, like a post Van Halen Rhodesy, was really exciting to hear those songs.
Yeah, the tone, in the like Children of the Grave and all those takes on those songs were kind of, like you said, a fresh take on those Sabbath songs. And when I go back and listen to the originals, of course I love them still, but I just like that infusion.
It was just, it was exciting because it was still Ozzy singing, so he still had his tone, his voice, and you know, and Rudy did his thing, and I know Rudy said, you know, he said maybe he wasn't happy with it because they didn't spend much time preparing for that at all. It was like more like a contractual book the Ritz, play a bunch of Sabbath, get the record out, and you know what I mean. But for us, it's like, dude, this is really cool to have this new, fresh way of looking at it. So that's what sucks sometimes. You know, it sucks sometimes. Like Randy, like I know Randy was like, you know, when he got to Diary of a Madman, he maybe wasn't full of total fresh ideas, and the solo on like Believer is very similar to the Crowley solo, but he was like, yeah, but that wasn't going to keep her solo. And then, but then producers, engineers, labels come in, not the engineers, but you know, the business people come in and go, okay, we're done, get the record out, you're going to go on tour. You know, it's like, but I didn't know we were done with this yet. I thought I had more time. Happens all the time. Like sometimes you just don't have the time. And that gets back to what we were saying about Eddie, is I think the bulk of what he plays like was established well before he's an adult. I think the bulk of him learning how to bend notes with nice vibrato like Clapton, his classical training in his ear from the piano lessons, and being a kid in Southern California in the mid 70s or early 70s, really, by the late 60s almost. Right. Because you know Van Halen 1's out in 78. They're cooking, playing clubs. They're playing like he's playing gigs in 73, right? Party like 70. Right. When does Dave join? 72?
73 is what he said yesterday.
All right. Well, it's like, so Eddie was already gigging probably from the late 60s, you know, as a kid. So all those years of all those nimble fingered piano and guitar exercises, the classical background, just big ears, big rhythm. But man, he went to the next. He didn't just take it to become a real great, well-rounded musician. He did crazy shit that nobody was thinking of. Like, that's what makes it all. Not only was his vibrato killer and his tone, he's tone. The amount of time he talks about how he messed with tone and guitars, and that's a whole. Think about, people spend ridiculous amount of time worshiping Eddie Van Halen to just try and get like one part of his shit. He's doing the killer tone. He's already got the image. Just skinny, in great shape, with the great hair, and look good, and the whole good rock god, right? He's a rock god, you know, and which doesn't hurt in the big picture. Selling a band, you got the great looking front man. He looks the part. The freaking drummer's crazy. Got things setting things on fire. Bass player's rowdy, but nailing the harmonies. And he's not only got the tone, he's got the riffs. First time I heard I was just like, that is just such a. It sounds like that riff should have already existed, and it's so like I absolutely loved it. First time, it was just like perfect riff. It's perfect. First, you ain't talk about love. First time you hear that, perfect riff. Like, but you had never heard of it. That riff was from another world. That was like, you're just picking an A minor, then you put the tone in the, you know what I mean? That didn't sound like any other band.
That's right. You know what's funny about that riff, you know, I ain't talking about love riff, is that the teacher I had, well, when I first got my first teacher, he was kind of like a 60s guy. So he wanted to like totally do classical stuff, right? So he showed me it on a classical guitar. That whole riff, right?
Oh, really?
And he taught it to me wrong. He taught it to me where I extended out with my up into the 5th fret. And so I can play it both ways.
Wow. I luckily learned that one correctly.
Watch this. It's like, let's see. I think I did it. I did something like that. Of course, that, right?
I can't hear your guitar at all.
Here, let me turn it up here. So when he does this lick, right, he goes normally, right? Right, like that.
Oh, wow.
You've never seen that before, have you? I think he thought that because it was so staccato.
Well, yeah, you know what? It kind of makes sense though, because because of being staccato.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds more staccato that way.
Are you tuned down to drop to a whole step?
I don't know. This thing's been sitting for a little bit. Yeah, it's down pretty low. It's down pretty low.
Yeah, I'm a half higher.
There you go. That's it.
Oh, Dan.
There you go. There you go.
Wow. Yeah, but it does make sense as far as like.
Yeah, because you can hold it down with your bar. You're barring it.
Which is because that's kind of like, how's it
go? Yeah.
Oh. It's like in that similar position as that kind of thing.
Same as that Diary of Madman. Yeah.
But that's it's just. But that's what we're talking about. We keep getting off the point. I'll go to make a point, but then we get on 10 other subjects. But it's just Eddie was had all this amazing stuff. But usually a guy with that, I don't know, that kind of talent might just give you like amazing, maybe some killer guitar riffs and solos, right? But he wrote, because from Jamie's Crying to Dance the Night Away to the poppier side of stuff, all the way up to Jump, and then the Sammy stuff. He was writing big, radio-friendly pop hits, like Dance the Night Away. Well, Dave, he's giving that, the doom, which sounds like the summertime, and then Dave's reacting, because Dave is a badass as well, because he just can never, all four came together and became this thing that I think was just about cooler than it's just, it has everything you want in rock and roll. It has everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Eddie gave you pop hits to talking about recording like pianos, hitting them with forks and going behind his strings, going on the Floyd Roy's, making noise and all that intruder stuff. And dude, if you're gonna play So This Is Love and you don't end it with, you know what I mean?
Right.
Whatever. If you don't go, what is the other one? I don't know the correct note, but I'm saying if you don't go, today is a place for me to be.
Right.
If you don't put that little bit, dude, that's Eddie. And I lived for that stuff. I was like, every little time when you'd hear I was like, oh my God, because you never heard that stuff before. He made, dude, from the mean streets to the cathedral to more melodic tapping with Hot for Teacher. Oh my God, to the killer vibrato. So it's like he had the Floyd Rose, it's just so much stuff.
It's endless,
look
right?
At the guitars.
Yeah, the guitars. Just an amazing vocabulary of so many things that just went on and on and on. And, like Hendrix, he had that little, he had like 3 years of vocabulary that he put out there, and Eddie had 30 years. There is a huge number of things that he did over the years that we could just like dissect till the cows come home.
I mean, you can't, like Hendrix, of course, right out of the gate, just even Star Spangled Banner alone is like, it sounds offensive. That's why I could see it being controversial. First time I heard it when I was a kid, somehow we ended up with Woodstock, and my parents weren't like hippies, and they were a little older, and they were not into like Zeppelin and Hendrix and Doors. Like it was more like Eagles, Neil Young, and like
mine too.
Hits of the 70s, hits of the 60s. Right. Like These Eyes from the Guess Who and shit like that.
Sure.
But I went, oh, Woodstock. I go, Hendrix. I know there's this whole thing, Hendrix at Woodstock. I got to hear Hendrix, and I put the record on in my dad's stereo. My mom was home. My dad was working. And I remember hearing Star Spangled Banner into Purple Haze, into the tritones, boom, bang, boom, bang. And I was like, oh my God, this is like, I turned it down because I thought she was going to come in and go, Brian, what is this crap you're listening to? Turn this down. Oh my God. Like, because it was offensive. And he's playing Star Spangled Banner, and then he's on Dick Cavett. He's like, well, I thought it was beautiful. You know? And it's like, but it is. It's amazing. It's amazing because you never heard a guitar speak like that.
Right.
And that was opening a door. Just like, dude, Paige opening up the dude sitting there with the harmonics, with the whammy, with the wah wah pedal on Days of Confused, going bing bing wing wing wing, bing. Dude, if that's not otherworldly, you are, you know what I mean? Those things, but you're like, and then it's just Brian May with his immaculate tone and those harmonies, sounds like freaking trombones and stuff. Like he's another. You know, and all these guys, all of them, when Van Halen came out, they're all like, oh my God, who's that? He had the fire, the groove, the tone, the riffs, the freaking attitude of the band. And then live, they were that good. They were. Because like that version of You're No Good from 80, that video is so good. They are so good. It's amazing. The Fair Warning footage, those 3 songs.
Yeah.
I can't believe we don't have the full show. Do you think they just said, you guys can only do 3 songs or whatever?
You should ask John 5. You know John 5?
Yeah.
Supposedly now, this is what I heard through the internet. He said, now this is probably somebody that he told saying it on the internet, that he's been to Ross house and seen these videos, seen full pro shots. It's going to be bullshit, but.
Okay, maybe so. I just figure, you know, you guys, the only people out there that that you are going to be selling this to are all the Van Halen fans, and we're all going to love it. Like it's a win. It is a win to put out the entire concert. Or Largo, Maryland. Is that's Diver Down.
Yeah,
it's great. Hey, it's great. And everybody bags on the US Festival, dude. They were okay. They're on fire. Some of the tempos are a little bit much, but dude. As usual, Eddie and Michael nailing all the harmonies. As usual, always nailing the harmonies. Always giving you this nice, like, dude, we're pros and we nail. That's our job. Like, if they were partying too much or didn't care, do you really think those harmonies would be A, in tune, and B, on time, and C, like, in the right spot every damn song?
Have you seen that? Have you seen the little clip that's actually the Pro Shot clip that's actually full quality of that? There's a little snippet out there of the US Festival.
I don't know.
Dude, and it's pristine. I mean, they could release that tomorrow, pristine.
Eddie's solo is his playing is on fire at that period. That period, like he was already on fire before Van Halen won, right? But like he was already, but it's like he was just in such control. Like even when he was, you could like feel he was pushed into and maybe gonna, you know, not nail something. It's just like he keeps it in control. It just keeps you on this edge of your seat all the time with him. I absolutely love it. And maybe it's like because he's passed and like, so it's just a combination of all things. It's like, you know, I've just been paying more attention to him because it's never that I don't, but you know, like I've gone through over the decades, my Van Halen stage, like, oh, I'm going to, like over in the other room above my drums, I got the poster I ordered of Eddie. He's got the shark on with this guitar on the table, and he's got shoes next to him. He's like backstage, like warming up, and it's just a backstage photo, like Van Halen 1, I think. But it's just inspirational. Just like when I got ready to crawl on the other side of the wall, I got Alex from the black and white striped kit, you know, which is my favorite kit in the world. From the diver, that's from the
81.
No, that's Fair Warning tour.
Yeah, Fair Warning.
That's my favorite drum kit in the world. But it's like they're just inspirational, you know. And it's like, and
tell you what, seeing that at the end when they're riding out the end of Unchained, and you see all that blue lights, and you see that kit, and then the gong on fire, and the haze, and the big speaker stacks, and dude, for me that was like, I'd seen Kiss live by this point, so. I didn't think there was going to be anything that could beat that, and I was shocked.
Kiss was awesome, but Van, like it's also you had it's just the the music was just so on fire. Like it was so, and you had just this Guitar Hero, and they were all, yeah. It's just different, you know. It's not like one band's going to be the only good live band, but
Yeah,
it's
right.
like you know, you can Van Halen, you just like you can go then ACD's like you can't deny Angus Young. That's a force. That is just like that's why he's Angus Young. You know, it's just next level. But and Angus has a whole different approach. He's like pretty much meat and potatoes blues, but he does have his little things here and there. He doesn't have all that crazy Eddie technique and
Yeah.
flash and tricks, but he does have a great, you know, great bag of tricks to dig into. You know, even if it's just one hand, and he's like, you know, again, whatever. It's still,
And
it's
that
just
great,
still cool.
that
He
great
knows how to
tone,
entertain.
man. Their tone is, it's all like you're the poster boys for Marshall amps, I mean, for the Smith set, 70s.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, but Eddie just had it all, and he kept it. That's a long run. That's a long run of kicking ass and of successful records with big
Man,
singles and sold out tours. Then you bring Dave back in and you kick ass playing the old stuff with Dave, and he went through his down period, you know, blah blah blah. And he came out at the end because those final shows we see, what was it,
15.
2015? He was playing great, like
Yeah,
great.
awesome.
Like dude, it's like you can almost gauge it on the hummingbird. Like when you see a hummingbird come out, that means he started putting time into loosening up and getting that wrist floating again. Oh my god, dude, that's what we do, dude. Instead of doing the like you know the surfer stuff, like dude, we do this. You put your two fingers together, so
All right.
it's not heavy metal. You just put your thumb and your middle finger together, and that's like the same thing as the what do you call what is that called, the Hawaiian?
Hey,
Is it like
yeah, Hank,
you know, it's like
Hang 10? No.
hang ten is like it's like everything's good.
Okay.
Everything's good when you do the hummingbird. This is you're talking to somebody that seriously like just bought that black and white guitar that
Yeah,
is in the thick of learning these solos, and like I said, the challenge is to put them out there just because you don't want to put them out if they ain't happening. So it's like a challenge, but it's all part of being a musician. Like I told you, I really like when I have time to go, you know what? My day is going to consist of putting a bunch of hours on guitar, some hours on drums. Maybe I'll play racquetball or go mountain biking. And that's like, dude, that's kind of like that's what I want. That's what I'm working towards. Like if I, you know, you're on tour and you're this and that, and if I have time in my life where I don't have to have your responsibilities, I'll create my own. My own is going to be a better musician. And you know what's going to happen? I'm finally going to kick myself in the ass and go, you know what? Throw down and start writing some stuff and put a stupid solo record out, because this is why I'm putting out the guitar stuff and I'm digging in. It's because I didn't know you played guitar. I was like, what did I do all these decades and sitting alone with a guitar? What did I do it for? To do a band for a couple of years in the '90s, and then you know write some music with Billy Idol, and every now and then this and that. Like no, dude, it's like I want to throw down. I love playing guitar, and I put time into it. And every time I do this, and I get better. It's like, so I'm not like making money off it. I don't have a gig, but if I do this, the more I do it, the more I put myself out there as somebody that does this. And the only way things can change is if you push for change, you know,
sure.
meaning, you know what? I don't want to be, like, it's starting to get annoying that I go, it's nobody's fault but mine. If somebody goes, I didn't know you play guitar. That's because I'm a drummer, but dude, I've always been a drummer who wants to play guitar. It was like, oh, I've always been like, it's never seventh grade, man, Blizzard of Oz, which Tell Van Halen won. It was all like, it was all beyond me, but all then I was obsessed through the 80s, through high school, seventh grade, all through high school. I went to Berklee College of Music. I used to sit here and transcribe Steve Vai solos on the Eat 'em and Smile record, write them out because I thought I was being more of a proper like music student, and I'm getting better. I would take my band in New Jersey's guitar player solos, and I would send him transcriptions of his. Dude, I did this for a little bit, not a long time, but it was like because I was like, Steve, I went to Berklee. Steve Vai's a musician. I'm going to get better, like blah, blah, you know what I mean? And I'm learning from all these guitar players. So if I wasn't doing 6 hours a day for 6 days a week in the drum sheds, every day when I wasn't in there, I was in my room with my Kramer Focus, the learning guitar licks from all the guitar players at Berkeley. Like that's what I did. What am I going to do? What am I doing with this? All those hours and time and this love of this instrument and all the time put in and all the guitar players I played with that I've learned from that I really never bothered. Like I could have and I should have. Like I should have really picked all those guys I mentioned. Everybody I played with, brains, picking their brains, like because they spent their lives. They're like that's Zach is still Zach and Slash is still Slash and Steve Stevens is still Steve and Felder's still out. These are the badass players that like spent their lives, you know. And it's like, dude, I should be learning so much more from them. But I always kind of looked at it like, yeah, but if you did it on your own, you know what I mean? I should be able to just get it together too. Give me a Les Paul, give me a Marshall, give me a freaking couple pedals. Let me get my tone together. So use my ear, use my fingers. But anyways, that's you're talking to somebody who's got it's just all, and I owe so much of it to Eddie. You know, some of it, much of this is that's why last night for hours I said, okay, I'm going to learn On Fire top to bottom, not just the cool little solo in the middle. I'm going for the whole damn thing, all the thing. I got my flanger out, I got my phase 90, and I'm in my 5150 because it's fun and like, dude, I'm gonna throw it out On Fire, and then I'm like, if I'm gonna learn all this stuff, well, then I'm gonna, maybe later this year at some point I'm gonna freaking do my own Van Halen tribute gig because I want it's fun.
You should.
Yeah.
It's fun, man.
At the same time, on my drums, I got my Tama Rosewood that I just got a week ago from freaking Hong Kong, which I'm selling older drums to pay for because this thing's expensive. And the thing has this conk. Dude, I'm like, if I record this and I can get close to Drop Dead Legs and I'll wait, oh my God.
Well, I tell you what, my drummer for a number of years was so excited to know that you were coming on. He was like, "Oh hell yeah, finally a drummer!" He's so excited. We've been talking about it. So yeah, he that's what I was talking about with Dirty Movies. He's a big fan of that song, and we would always talk about that song and that tone. And so he'll be excited to hear your story about the snare drum.
Oh man, I used to make like, what do you call those tapes? Like edited mixtapes of my favorite thing. I'd sit there with my records and a cassette player, and I would just this was really odd because it was a very, like, I look back at, I did a lot. I spent hours doing this. I would just record snippet after snippet of my favorite parts of songs, just shit on records that I liked, and all of Alex's drum intros were always in there. So I'd have the Dirty Movies intro, Jamie's Crying. I'd have the break from Light Up the Sky, which I wanted to tell you earlier. We were talking about playing the records. I learned how to get into starting songs by the clicks, the scratches on the record. So I'd hear like, and then I hear, I hear the 3 in a row. That means I got to start. You know, like I'd hear like, you know what I mean? I'd do stuff like that. The Light Up the Sky, I had a skip in my record. So I never knew Light Up the Sky as a fully realized drum break. I knew it with a missing like 2 beats. So I learned Light Up the Sky. So when I still hear it now, I hear it so wrong. It throws me off now. I'm supposed to hear like a bar of 7/8 or something. Cause it was like, dude, right there. My shit went to the next, like I lost like 2 beats. And now when I hear that section, I'm like, it sounds wrong. But so I used to learn how to play songs with skips in them and shit.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But,
right?
It's all good. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, man, it's all, I could go forever with Van Halen. I don't know the detail. Like I watched some of your Zlozauer, and he's got some great history, and I have his book, which he signed. We've crossed paths over the years many times. He's awesome. And I was trying to remember to go into the room where I have all these books and grab it, and I was going to bring it here. I forgot. It's over there. Trust me. But it's a great book. And
you ever want to be like on a multiple person call sometime in the future? We could do like a whole Van Halen roundtable at some point if you wanted to do that.
Sure. Yeah, dude. Like, and you kind of go like it's like the knowledge. Like I'm at the point where I'm like, until I feel like comfortable about what you're learning from Eddie. The drums are another thing. Like, on the one video, it's like that was because Modern Drummer's like, hey, send us, do some Bonham thing. I'm like, I've done enough Bonham. But a buddy of mine had asked me to do the one is like one of those those quarantine videos. It never happened. But I had said, okay, and nobody ever got it done. So I'm sitting here with this track on the one. I learned it. I got the drums. I played along to the song, and it was like unused. So I said, you guys, what do we do? Some Alice Van Halen for Van Halen 1, double bass shuffle. And Modern Drummer's like, okay. Well, I went to just send him the version I had done, and I was like, I can get my snare drum a little better. Performance is okay. It's all right. So I went and did it all again for Modern Drummer because, and I did it better. Like I got it better and the ending better and all this stuff, and I filmed it and all that. But now that it's just like it's all great. I love it all, and so that was pre Eddie passing. That was pre pandemic, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was no, that was 21. It was 21. Oh wait, so I had Eddie passed in 20. October of 20.
October 6th.
Okay, so it was right after that. So right around that same time. Mm-hmm. So I'd done that right after that on the one stuff. Anyways, yeah, it's all cool, man. I can go on. I got my. I was gonna say I got my. It's the one magazine I bum out that I don't have. I have this one Cream like heavy metal special, and they had a lot of Van Halen pictures in this. Like, but I had this other Cream magazine. It was the Cream full blown Van Halen, all Van Halen magazine that Cream had. I have like the back cover only, and I'm like, where's the rest of this magazine? This was the best Van Halen magazine in the day. It was like 1980. Was it? No, well, I was Van Halen. Must have been 82, 83. It was like right around Fair Warning. It was Fair Warning-ish. It's so that'd be 81, 82. But anyways, this Cream magazine was so killer, dude. I still got my. I had James Lomenzo when he used to play with Dave. Mm-hmm. I gave James my David Lee Roth book and my what was it? And my Van Halen Diver Down. And Dave signed both of them. So I haven't met Dave ever, but
one of my guests coming up is the guys that have been playing with him. Was Frankie, the guy that does the EVH videos. He's going to be on, and he's a he does a really good job. Yeah, he does
a good job.
Yeah,
I'm about to jump in there, man. I'm about to jump in there because I'm watching. Like I said earlier, watching these guitar guys. They go, there's some stuff that's still stumping me, and I think it's just because Eddie's got that random fire, and sometimes it's not exact. Like, but like that shit I was showing you in Eruption.
Yeah,
that's it. Based on what you watch Eddie do live, where his finger spreads are, that control. That's it, man. When you slide up and go, that, and I'm seeing these guys that I respect, and they're doing great stuff. But there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
but it's all intertwined. There's
Do you find like sometimes, and I have found this in the past, is that I'll make it harder than it is. Like you're talking about that part.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When I'm watching you play that lick, it looks easier to me than what you were saying. Other people were doing certain things.
But the hardest thing is it's a double on the top. That's to do that, and everybody else says you go. They say it's your pinky. It's everybody's saying it's, and they slide down. They're saying it goes. Oh, sorry. That's what they're saying it is. I've never tried this before, but that's what it means. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That makes sense, but there's no slide. He ain't sliding, and symmetrical patterns. It's all symmetric. And Eddie's got strong freaking fingers, man. That's why, like, I'm not that great at it. I'm still working on getting my pinky stronger, but this is helping me to work on the, but there's two pinkies at the top. So, and then he goes, so it goes, fuck.
Right. Exactly.
But people are going like, and the difference, like, okay, then there's this one.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm only picking one note, man. I'm only going. I don't know if it's right, but I think his left hand's strong when he goes.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I
I'm
think it
only
is.
picking just one. You'd only do it with one pick.
Well, Alan Garber, who does a lot of transcriptions, he says that opening lick with the opening string, the first lick, not the second lick, is all one.
This one.
It's all one pick. Is what he says.
He says it's one pick.
Yeah, it's one with with pull offs for the rest of it.
Okay, that could be. I'm doing with two picks.
Yeah.
So I've seen people doing with three, and I see people not using the open E string.
Right.
I see them like I've seen guys that are doing a lot of good stuff, and they're playing it like.
Yeah. Right.
It's not. It's not that. It's an open E, and I'm pretty sure it's an up pick. So if you only did it with one pick, that would be. Let me do it how I do it. Wait. Which he also does in Somebody Get Me a Doctor or On the One.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh my God, that sucked. Anyways, I think he goes, so I'm doing two picks, but if I did one, oh, sorry. You got to mute it the right way. I think maybe it is one pick.
I don't know.
The people that aren't using the open string, I'm like, dude, it's the same lick as in Somebody Get Me. Not Somebody. It's in I'm the One when he goes to the. Shit, man, I'm sucking. No, maybe I'm muting too much. You know that, but oh, you know what? When I did get down, dude, this one. Dude, that one is a whole like that was an accident. Like I was like, that's crazy. I have no clue. I'm never like I don't know what he's doing there. I'm just gonna guess. I'm just gonna try and make it up. But then I figured the pattern out, which is I was like, wait a second. I've been doing that every time I pick up a guitar. I always go like, and I was like, and I'm like, I started doing it, but in triplets, he goes. And he does that right in there. I'm like, that's it. It's just, man, and that's one of the coolest ones, man. It just goes on and on because I start putting my time in. But
wow.
Yeah, and yeah. Anyways, it's all fun, but I got a lot of work to do on it. That's why the challenge is to like get your shit tight and film it, like so it's like. There's the proof that you put the time in.
Well, you can see it, man. I tell you what, I got to ask you this about, this is a kind of crazy question to ask somebody like you or me. But if you were to like give me two of your favorite solos and two of your favorite songs.
I used to always say, which I probably still do. I always loved "Out of Love Again" guitar solo. First time I heard that song, I was blown away, and the solo was it's. I don't know. Every solo of Eddie's is on fire. They're all just amazing.
That solo,
that one.
That solo, you did a cover of it, and I saw it, and I was like, "Holy shit, man! That's a really." I mean, first of all, there's no tapping in it, and second of all, I don't know how many guitar players I've talked to about this particular solo, but there's just something about that solo and the way it swings, the way the drums are swinging too, because that's your thing. The combination of the brothers on in that section is just devastatingly amazing, and you killed that cover, man. I mean, that's what really got my attention about you playing these songs on your guitar, man. I was like, Jesus, you nailed that. That's such a weird thing.
Well, there was, it's been decades since I've sat down and put time into learning other, nitpicking and learning my favorite stuff, and which just opens, it doesn't matter who you are, you're learning something new, it's just opening up your strength in your hands, your ears, and it's satisfying when you like, man, I love this, and now I can, I kind of know it or whatever. It's really, it's really fun, and it's like it's rewarding. And then so recently I started digging in a lot more. I don't really know why exactly, other than um, in between touring with the Dead Daisies, is like I always take a guitar with me on tour. I always have, like
Mhm.
forever. Like I can't imagine sitting in a hotel room not being able to pick up a guitar and play. You know what I mean? Like that's the one thing. No matter where you are in the world, you have your guitar and you can play. And um, but I just started. I don't know. It was my buddy Derek Sherinian, keyboard player, who's
Sure,
huge,
sure.
one of the hugest Van Halen fans out there. I mean, he's the guy. He's learned Spanish Fly on piano and Eruption. He'll put in his live solos, and I mean, when he was learning this, he'd be sending me clips of him learning it, and he's hardcore. I don't talk. He never talks keyboard players. We talk Van Halen and Rhodes for the most part, and badass guitar players. But we just started talking, and he was learning some solos, and I saw him pick up. It might have been "You're No Good" he learned, or this or that, whatever, and it sort of inspired me. I was like, maybe we just started talking about it. I was like, let me look into that. Let me see if I can figure that part out. And then I was like, wow, I think it was like, I'll wait. I was like, wow, that's a badass solo. There's some great stuff in there. And then it opened up a couple little doors of like Eddieisms, little things that Eddie does. And then you go, well, wait, if I got that one and I learned a couple little things here, let me go into this solo. And I've been doing a lot of Eddie solos. And a lot of these I knew that the basics of, like just from a kid. I'm talking trying to learn Van Halen 1 when you're in like 8th grade, 9th grade. It's like that's like, or like learning Blizzard of Oz. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I was learning as I was trying to learn. Didn't know
Right,
it, barely anything, but I was just trying because I loved it so much. But I had so much, all those 80s bands, man, Lynch, DeMartini, Jake. I was trying to learn all that stuff. Akira Takasaki,
right, right, right.
all that stuff. So it was fun, but I was so off because I just didn't know. Now I know a lot more, and it's been a lot of time has passed. So I'm like, what am I doing with this? Like these tools I put time into. Like, you know what? Well, social media, screw it. Hey, I'm not in a band, but I love playing guitar, and I see a lot of people out there online claiming this and that, saying they know this. I'm not saying I know everything, but when I know something's not right, it's like, man, you got all these views, and you're sitting here showing people the wrong way to play this. Like,
Mhm.
there's Eddie's guitar play every day. I sit down and listen. I hear little things. You go, that's part of his style. And I'm not the only one. There's tons of people that have. But Out of Love Again, yeah. There's. I think the most badass lick in there is when he goes 3, 4. Wait, sorry, 3, 4. Like that. It's like, dude, it's kind of muted. It's just the rhythm of it. It's another Eddieism when you do which he also does the same thing at the end of the Push Comes to Shove solo, which is could be up there. I think a lot of Eddie fans go Push Comes to Shove because it is. It's maddening how unique it is. Like that, we can say Out of Love Again and Push Comes to Shove, but if we're not going to bring up like Eruption, Spanish Fly, because really those are
Yeah,
the two. Eruptions, those are the two right there. Duh.
sure,
But
sure,
if we're talking within a song,
sure.
yeah, I mean, we can go down the whole damn David Lee Roth era, all 6 records, every song. I'll tell you, just like going down a Zeppelin thing with Bonham, I could go bam, bam, bam. This is what's amazing in this song. But for Eddie, for every one of his solos, I don't know them all. I barely know any of them, in the big picture. But I'd say Out of Love Again. I always loved the fire in the Hot for Teacher solo. I loved. It's just so. He doesn't he just make it sound like he just picked up a guitar and just went,
Mhm.
and you're like, but there's thought behind it. There is thought, and and even if he is just going, he's saying things in the way he hears rhythm and the way he swings and the way he phrases things. It's just so it's so like big band. It's so not
I agree.
blocky. It's like when Jim Morrison sings, it's always like, "Come on, baby, light my fire." Everything's done, done, done. Most of Morrison is, but I love it for what it is. Whereas like Sinatra is always on the back or he's just all over the beat. Eddie's just like it's like a sax or a clarinet or something in a big band. That the way he phrases, it's really advanced. And if I had to sit down and go, Brian, make up a solo that's like Eddie-ish, sometimes I'm thinking like, oh man, I want to get like Eddie-ish if I improvise. I'm like, it's not there. I don't. He just. Not many people have that swing and that fire, but he'll also give you freaking the Unchained riff or the On Fire riff or the just so massive and simple and straightforward. But then he'll give you these I'm the one. Yeah, throw I'm the one there. I can't give you two, man, because then I'm going I'm the one. That's just a blitz top to bottom. You know what I mean? But my favorite songs.
I gotta tell you about I'm the One. Your drum cover that's out that people need to check out. You're playing to this track, which was one of the original tracks, right? And of course, there's no click there for you to play to. But man, the way that you you were so tight, even at the end. What really impressed me about it is that last part coming out of the breakdown. Where you come back in with all the snare stuff, and then you're at the end, you're doing all the rolls, and you nailed the whole end of this, like dead on, man. Like
it's my own. Thank you very much. There was considerable amount of time put into that. Like, if you're going to throw yourself out there like that,
yeah.
Especially to somebody that it was so important to me on drums. Like those, I say those 6 records because I still was into Van Halen with Sammy. Because Alex is still. There's great songs. There's great guitar tones. There's great stuff. It just didn't knock me out as much as those first 6 records did. But when you're going to throw something out there like that, and you are like a professional musician who you don't want to. It's got to be like, if I'm going to sit down with these drums and I got Pro Tools and I know how to mic in tune, I got to get the drum sounding good. Like I know the snare that I have is going to sound a certain way, and I know what I want it to do. I know I matched the tuning of the rack tom, the floor tom. Alex's are usually a little deader. I kept one of them dead, one of them. I just tried to get close to his world. And with the drum tone, and then the performance, there's no click. But as a drummer or as a musician, man, I know it's like practicing to a metronome is important and all that stuff. But the most practice I probably got in my entire life was not my private lessons, or not the time I put in the private lessons, because I didn't put enough time into it. I did put enough time into my rudiments, where I could play rudiments and I could do a good double stroke roll and a crush roll and paradiddles and flams and blah blah. I put the time in, but there's also stuff I learned on my own that I taught myself. Things just came in, like, which I teach drums, so this is another. I'm still getting off subject here, but I go, man, the stuff I'm showing you, and you've been playing for however long. This is stuff that came to me like triplet accents or whatever. When I was a kid, it just made sense, or just certain things they just made sense, or and I'm really glad that happened that way, because I see other people, sort of struggling with things that felt natural to me when I was younger, and but I got the best, and I didn't realize this at the time, but putting my headphones on, cranking to 10, putting my records on right next to my drums, and going into that, what is now I'm realizing was a crazy world of meditation. When you're 10, 11, 12, 13, you don't think you're just rocking to your favorite records, But what it was doing, I don't need anybody else in the world, I just need this moment. I need this music and these drums, and there's no better place. My parents would say, we're going to the shore for a week in the summer.
Right.
We're going to sit, and I'm like, I can bring a pad and sticks. And like, I get home and I'd be like, we'd be nighttime. Like, I can't, I wouldn't be excited. I'd be like, it's cool, we're going there. But I'd be missing my drums beyond, a whole week without touching my drums. That means I'm going to sit here listening to my favorite music and I can't play along to it. So the best practice for me was playing to records: Kiss, Van Halen, Zeppelin, AC/DC, Rush, Yes, Maiden, Priest, all of it. It's playing the music.
Sure, we used to do that.
My Sharona, man.
We used to do that with the old vinyl players and have to drop the needle, which for me was sort of like, for that, like you're talking about. I would, because it wasn't so easy to get to the solo or whatever with vinyl, I would just drop the needle and put on blackout and learn every rhythm to the entire side. You know what I mean? Scorpion. Yeah. I'd find something I could do and then do the whole record.
And I would eventually I would play the 8-tracks and cassettes. I did, but most of the time it was records. But I did buy 8-tracks for a little period. I remember I had Back in Black on 8-track, and Highway to Hell, and the song would fade and come back in, which was obnoxious. Trying to, you're rocking out, and they fade the solo of Walk All Over You or whatever. But the point is, most of those records weren't to a click. So you're playing, trying to sound and feel like that drummer is making that music in the band sound and feel, pushing and pulling. You're not aware of it. I wasn't aware that I was just doing it. It wasn't that. I was like, he's right. He's the professional drummer. That's Alex Van Halen. Whatever he's doing is 100% right. What I'm doing, if I'm not with him, is wrong. If I'm not there, if my snare isn't with him, I'm wrong. And that's how, there's no other way to look at it as a kid. These are the gods, and I'm the worshiper, and this is what but it does make you good, because you're not Joey Kramer playing with Aerosmith. I played to tons of Aerosmith, playing to Peter Criss, to Joey Kramer, to Neil Peart, to Bonham, to Van Halen, to Ringo, to Don Henley, like to Mick Fleetwood, to Phil Rudd. It's like everybody's got their own groove and feel, and their style, and the way they play hi-hats, the way they make a kit sound. That was the best practice I had, was that. So when you decades later, here I am, I'm going to play on the one. Okay, I was very attentive to the fact that when I don't really sit around shuffling like Alex does shuffle on his double kicks regular. When he was gigging with Van Halen, they're shuffling, like they're playing on the one every night. They're playing stuff like that, and then eventually Hot for Teacher every night. So that was a part of his regular playing. I love the sound of that, like double bass shuffling and all that stuff. But I noticed that my swing wasn't as good as Alex's on that track, and it was really bothering me. I started listening to his feet. I'm like, man, he's right on the edge. It's not a open loose triplet. It's a tight triplet, and Eddie is too, and it's fast. That's one thing. Change the subject a smidge, but sticking with On the One. I'm close to putting guitar top to bottom on top of that drum track, and I'm like, well, when you put the original track in there, it kind of like gets in the way of your own performance. And the ending of you were talking about the ending. I just kind of knew how long I had to go, and I knew kind of what Alex did. He went, I kind of knew it, but it's not exact. It's just when I got that particular take and I got to the end, I heard Eddie come for that last chord. I was like, oh man, I think I'm like right there, bam. And that was just a little bit of luck, you know what I mean? But the rest of it, there's pushing and pulling. There's pushing and pulling in that track. And
you nailed that, man. I mean, you nailed that track. And then, when thinking of that track, the first time I ever pulled it up in Pro Tools, when I guess it was a Guitar Hero or whatever came out, and he got out into the world. First time I ever pulled up that track and soloed that drum track, I was like, man, just that track, just the drum track.
As a kid, I'm the one compared to Hot for Teacher. Hot for Teacher, Simmons kick drum, right?
Sure.
But it's just massive. It sounds amazing. It's just, it's one of the craziest drum tracks to ever be released as a single in the history of drums. It is. I mean, I'm going with crazy drum tracks that are singles. I'm going Hot for Teacher, and I'm going, Tom Sawyer. Like, so I'm talking crazy, like just insane amounts of drumming, and not to Hot for Teacher. It's a shuffle. It's fast. It starts with a drum solo. All the but Van Halen 1 on the one. You don't get that intensity as much because the bass drums in the mix just aren't as prominent. And it's even a little bit hard. When you first put on Van Halen 1, it's still a freight train, right? But you don't get that double bass. It doesn't just hit you. You have to almost listen a little bit. Like, is there two kicks going? Do you agree with me or not?
Yeah, I do, because I didn't, I guess I didn't notice the footwork as much until I had it separated. And then what I also noticed was his meter was just so freaking, I mean, dude, it's so solid the whole time. It's like, and it's live, totally live,
Totally live, solid and consistent. That's why he's underrated. There's not that many drummers off the top of my head. I think I was investigating this a little bit. Like, I think the first person to do a double kick shuffle was Carmine Appice back in the day. Okay. Cactus. Yeah. I don't know if he did it with Vanilla Fudge, but was it Parchment Farm Blues? I think that was the first double kick shuffle. And Van Halen, what is it? Let's Go Swimming. Which is where the intro of Eruption came from. Right. Like, this is crazy stuff. Like, I didn't realize that till like kind of recently. Not many people do that. you can go back and listen to Cactus, which they were on fire. I mean, they were kicking ass back then, and Van Halen was paying attention.
They were.
Um, but you know, you got Carmine, the piece, maybe doing the first hard rock shuffle. You got Cobham, what Quadrant 4, I think. Space Boogie, Simon Phillips. Then you got Alex. First double bass shuffles. Like I'm sure I'm missing something, but I'd say those are like the tops. And Alex has pretty much got that, top of the mountain award for Hot for Teacher, because it's a single video, 80s. Van Halen's huge, and everybody knows that song, and it's featuring Alex. So that took over as far as the world of double bass shuffles. Maybe there's a Pantera. I think there's some Pantera double bass shuffles, because they were very Van Halen influenced. But yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer. Like on that, for those first records, the kick drum. If you listen to Van Halen 2, the kick's there, you can hear it, but it's just a little bit of a bummer that it's not as prominent as on Van Halen 1 as it is on even 2, which is similar in sonically or production wise. And then his kick drums, Women Children First, is more of a mid-range internal. I love the sound of his kick drum on Women Children First. Fair warning, it's there. He doesn't double kick at all on that record, I don't think. And then he does on a Full Bug. And I love the kick drums.
What do you think about the sound of like Dirty Movies, that the drum tones on that?
You're talking to a guy, okay? You're talking to a guy who just received from Hong Kong a 1980 6.5 by 14 Tama Mastercraft Rosewood. Okay, There's only one reason I got this Rosewood. Do you know why?
Because it was on the record.
Because that's what Alex used from Fair Warning to OU 812.
Okay.
Oh my God. In the world of snare drum, in the world of sounds, I can give you a list of sounds that really make me happy. And I go with Bonham snare, Alex Van Halen snare, Michael DeRozier snare. There's tons of sounds I love. At the top, the sounds that just have been, elusive to me and blowing me away, and I've been trying to get to forever, which I don't think I'm, there, because Alex so consistently gets it, Bonham so consistently gets it, is that snare tone. And I've been reading about this, Rosewood. It's not like, I know, and there's a Modern Drummer interview that he mentioned Super Sensitive, Ludwig Super Sensitive, which I got in high school because he said that, and I didn't know how to tune. And I was like, this drum isn't. It was me. It was totally me. Then the drum ended up getting stolen out of my car in Manhattan at a gig. Somebody broke in the back of my car, took my cymbals, pedals, and the snare. I lost that snare. Sucks. But then he was using Superphonics. But this Rosewood, this Tama Rosewood thing, I was like, I don't know anything about, and they discontinued it. And then they did like a anniversary edition. But I'm like, whatever about that. I want to know about this drum. Why? Dude, we're talking I'll Wait. We're talking Finish What You Started. We're talking Mean Street. We're like that snare. Yes, I love the drum sound. I love the production of Fair Warning. Oh my God, it's so Van Halen. It's so that's the beginning to me of Alex's sound coming out, like coming to life. It's there. It's there. Like the rest of his kit in bits and pieces. His cymbals, his Pisces are always crisp and clear, always mixed well. Hi-hats always have that classic Alex, the way he plays the hats, the Sound Edge 15s, I believe, unless he was using 14s at one point, I'm not sure. But his snare really started to come to life on Fair Warning. And it's a very close mic'd drum sound on that record. I love Dirty Movies. I didn't realize as a kid, Mean Streets was done, that whole hi-hat track is one hand. When I was a kid, I was like, Dad, that's good. And that's what he does now. Yeah, that's one hand. That whole freaking track.
I had brought that up, man. I actually, we were for some reason, I decided to get into a Van Halen tribute band, like an idiot. When he passed, we did a couple shows, just like a set, and then we got so far down the road, I was like, man, we might as well just learn the next 10 songs and do a show here and there. So anyway. In the middle of that process, we got into Mean Streets and we were breaking that down. And I went back to that video that's out there from Europe or something where Alex is playing behind them. They're miming, of course. But you see that one-handed thing going on the hi-hat. And I forwarded that to my drummer. I said, look, man, he's doing that one-handed there.
And you know what? And check this out. I just remember this. Because because I was doing it with two hands, because it was just fast. I mean, it's like, and it's not, this ain't like Funk Garibaldi, Clyde Stubblefield with the tip and the stick on the hat. This is, you know, I don't think I could do that back then, as a teen. Maybe at some point eventually. But the point is, I thought it was two hands. So I made, for two reasons. I was like, well, if you want to keep the hi-hat going, but you hit the snare, there's that dead space of the hi-hat, you know, where there's no hi-hat. If you go da 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 right there, there's no hi-hat because you're hitting the snare. So I started working on three lefts in a row to keep the hi-hat going. Da, 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 da. And I would play that song like that. So you'd have to see my left hand there. Like, so da, 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 da. So when I go to the snare, I'd also end up doing three lefts together to make up for the missing hi-hat.
Yep.
But I don't know if that was because I had heard all those hi-hats, or it was just me thinking, well, I think I want to hear the hi-hats the whole way, so I don't know what anybody else does. So like, some things I think on my own, and some things I would just try and figure out, well, what might they be doing, you know? But it was just same with with double kick. I didn't have double kick, so I would play the E's and U's, the in-between beats on my kick drum, and I'd ride off the floor tom, and I'd hopefully impress my drum friends and bandmates. But I go to the rise, and I'd ride the floor tom to the snare, and in between I go, you know, so you'd hear. Well, wait, you probably get my foot's gotta be loud. So I do that, and then I'd have the, you know. So all these things, I was just, you know, you just make up stuff as you go, you know. And I made it with triplets too, and now I see him and he plays it with two hands, and I'm like, maybe it just feels funkier for him. But I love the intensity of it because it has a certain intensity when you're playing it like that.
Sorry,
the Tama Rosewood. I just wanted to say I got it and tuned it up. The thing's amazing. I haven't recorded with it yet. I just like put a little thing on my phone, but as far as I can tell, or what I've read is that was the Rosewood came into play during Fair Warning and went to 84, 5150, and OU 812. I don't know if it's on every track, but man, I just wanted to give it up. That is one of the most insanely beautiful, amazing, perfect snare drum sounds. I like. Jump has it too. I mean, Jump's snare drum sound is amazing, but like all weight, drop dead legs, you know, the whole 5150. Just get up, finish what you start. All of it. Those records, and it starts with Fair Warning. Diver. Oh, sorry, I left that Diver Down. Diver Down. The snare drum's insane. It's so Alex, and he still gets it to this day. It's the newest record. The last one, a different country. Different. Drums are. That might be his best overall acoustic drum sound ever. It's so Alex. Like the kick drum sound exactly how I've heard Alex sound live. The toms are tuned like it's always the top one cranked. It's just it's amazing. He should be freaking so happy and proud of himself after all this time. He put out a record with, in this day and age where people can screw it up now in Pro Tools and mess with things, to have that sound so organic and so Alex and so only. You put that on, I'm like, that's Alex Van Halen. That's it. That's a done deal. That kick drum's Alex. Those cymbals are Alex. The way he mixes his cymbals into his playing, into his, you know, the big picture of his kit as a one musical instrument. I can't say enough about Alex.
One more question. It ended off, you know, besides being in Eddie Van Halen's band for a night, what's probably like one of those moments in your career where, you know, just pick one other one like that whether it was a giant show that you did that just blew your mind, you never thought.
I know them because like they're that huge to me.
Play them on.
Playing with Eddie Van Halen is just stupid huge. 3 times I worked with Steven Tyler, stupid huge. The rehearsal with him and Joe Perry for the Varvatos benefit show was, dude, playing Seasons of Wither and Walk This Way and Come Together in Sweet Emotion and Dream On, with hitting the gong at the end of freaking Dream On with Steven Tyler sitting there playing piano. Okay, playing Neil Peart's drums in 1991 at Madison Square Garden because I was playing with Vinnie Moore and we opened up 2 weeks for Rush. So we're pulling in our vans with my Tamas from high school that I had because of Neil into Madison Square Garden where I saw Kiss, and now I'm 23. It's 1991, and Neil comes on stage at soundcheck, and blah blah blah. Neil, like I had met him, he's very nice. He was totally cool. The guys are great. And I go something blah blah bass drum, and he goes, "Have you tried them yet?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't just tried your drums, dude." He goes, "Go ahead." I didn't say no, I haven't tried your drums, dude, at all. But that's what I felt like. I was like, no. And he goes, go ahead. And he sat in front of the drums. Well, I just messed around on Neil Pearce drums at Madison Square Garden at freaking 4 in the afternoon. It's like, so that, yeah. And playing with Ozzy, playing War Pigs with Ozzy is just like that whole tour. So that was, you know what I mean? Those, and then, I don't know, Jimmy Page walking backstage at a Whitesnake show while we're playing the Rover on Physical Graffiti, and Coverdale invites him to the show in London, and we kind of know he's coming, but David is, the good thing about David is, like, you know, you join Whitesnake, he pumps you up like you're something freaking special, and that's why he chose you. So when I got Whitesnake, I was like, all right, yeah. He's like, oh yeah, the press release, when I saw Brian, tearing apart a set of drums with Ozzy Osbourne, like he put it out there to make it sound like, you know, you're exciting and big, right? But so that's what he does to Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy, you know, my drummer is really, you know, he's played with Billy Idol, and he's got, you know, he's really, you know, he loves, you know, Zeppelin the most or whatever. So when Jimmy comes in, oh, I got a picture with him and stuff, but it's just like, this Jimmy freaking Page, dude. Oh my God, it's Jimmy Page, right? So then he's standing there, and but basically after a few minutes, he's standing there, and he looks at me and goes, "So you played with Billy Idol? Like, you're Jimmy Page, and you knew something about me. Like, that is insane." And he doesn't know that about me because he's. Imagine if he did. He's like, Brian, I've been following you for years. I really enjoy what you do. Like, you know what I mean? It's Jimmy Page. So it's like, no, it's because Coverdale said, you know. He must have mentioned it right before.
Right.
Brian's done this or that, blah blah blah. But just trying to like pump me up. So like but yeah. So anyways, that was just insane. Just because it's Jimmy Page. I mean, dude, that jammed freaking, for what it's worth, with Neil Young at his bridge benefit with him and Billy Idol, and with the Billy Idol band. But Neil came on stage. But the cooler thing was we were backstage. Me, Steve Stevens, Billy Idol, and Neil were in our dressing room, talking about the arrangement, just the four of us. And then the first night we played it alone, and then Neil heard us, and he's like, "Hey man, I'll jam that with you guys the next." So he came, and I was like, when Neil Young got on stage, dude, when he got up dressed in like this Indian shawl and his cowboy hat, his glasses, and he walked in front of me, I was like, dude, this guy is larger than life. It was, dude, it's Neil Young. This is the guy that you go on YouTube in 1970 and watch The Needle and the Damage Done and freaking Old Man, and you're just like, oh my God, like this, so like that stuff is, that stuff is awesome. And at the top of that, yeah, that's really it. It's this Steven Tyler, dude, Aerosmith, Van Halen, Kiss. I mean, just all that stuff's amazing.
That's amazing, man. Thanks for being on, dude, and telling these great stories. And I'll definitely chop up some stuff and put some like clips out for people to check out. Some like this story that you just told. It's such an awesome little spot and stuff. So
yeah, cool, totally cool. And yeah, like I said, like yeah, obviously we can go forever. There's a ton of us out there. There's all tons of us. We all know each other. We all grew up in Van Halen. It's just like, and we have our stories, and it's great because all it is it just shows you how much of an amazing human he was, on so many levels, where people he can just hang out like a regular guy, but he's the one regular guy in the room that's gonna write the Unchained riff, and he's gonna create Eruption, and he's gonna write Love Walks In, and Why Can't This Be Lovin' right now. You know what I mean? It's like jump and play keyboards, and he's that guy that's just gonna. Oh, by the way, you like my guitar design, and you like put the fine tuners on the Floyd Rose, dude. What are you doing? You're wasting my time with this Allen Rose. You know what I mean? Dude, that's him. Come on, let's put a dotted eighth on the delay pedal and make up a piece called Cathedral. It's awesome.
Right, he was awesome, man. It's an incredible legacy.
Wait, here's the last one. Nobody's
Okay.
probably talked this, but I've talked about this. Last one.
Okay.
He gets the feedback. He's at the solo. He looks at the audience, points at him, dive bomb, runs over, kicks his freaking stack. They never fall down, but it always looks like it's gonna. What's going on there?
Right.
Why don't they fall down?
Brody's right.
He must know that's got to be. It's got to be strapped down in the back, or they got to be holding it with a strap where they make it look like it's gonna go. Like he hits it, it goes back, and they like it's got to be thought out. He's got to hit. He's got to know how hard to jump. That because every time it's like it looks like that's gonna fall.
Well, then you know what? I might be able to find this for you, but I swear there's a photo shot from a perspective where you can see the guys behind it. I swear
I got to see that.
I swear I've seen it.
So it's like it's got to be like two guys.
Two guys, yeah,
holding the stack.
Yeah.
And he kicks it, and I bet you they go like this. Maybe there's even a handle on it. He kicks it, and they let it go back, and two of them go, okay, go back to here, then push it forward like it's gonna flip, then push it back, and it'll never fall. Or they have a straps.
If I find that photo, I'll send it to you.
But that is a great move. Is that not a killer move?
Yeah. It's like,
Dave,
a damn leg.
Dave had his split leaps, and that was going off the riser or the double kicks,
right?
Full center stage. But Eddie doesn't get enough credit for this, man. It looks like he's gonna knock over the stacks, and they never fall. They go wiggle and jiggle back and forth.
Thank God, they didn't.
Awesome stuff.
Thanks again, man, for your time. And I'll be in touch. I'll be in town. And who knows, if you want to go hang out and go see all the sites, you're welcome to go.
Just keep in touch and let me know. Let me know when, and we'll see what's happening.
Okay, buddy. Have a good night. All right.
Cool.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, you too.
Bye,
buddy. Happy New Year.
Bye. You too, man.